It's a Friday, and we're talking football non-stop. All football, all the time. This is another edition of Football Friday with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson on a Football Friday. Ben, it's a big one tomorrow. Game day is in town. Conference championship ramifications. Let's talk all about it. Let's get out to the Zone phone. Joining us now, the owner and publisher of Bearcat Journal. He's Chad Brendel with us here on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Chad?
Not much, guys. How are you? Happy Halloween.
Thank you very much. Happy Halloween to you as well. Big game tomorrow. Obviously, College Game Day is here. I've got to admit, I can't quite put my finger on what Cincinnati is because the record's great. You know, they're making top 5 hottest team in college football list. But I look at who they've beaten, and I'm not quite sure I'm sold yet that the resume matches the reputation. So what am I missing, or where are you on this Bearcats team?
I mean, they are doing winning football things, and that's really kind of the key ingredient behind all of this. They're not turning the ball over. They're not making negative plays. They've allowed 2 sacks on the entire season, and they've gotten first downs on the play immediately after both of those sacks. They're playing great special teams, and they're keeping teams out of the end zone. And, you know, however it may look, and, you know, in the Big 12, it's hard to tell because Iowa State was expected to be a conference contender when this thing started. Injuries have kind of derailed them. But I think the big thing to look at here is in almost all of these games, Cincinnati has gotten out early and they've won comfortably. And I think a big reason is that they're getting great quarterback play. They can run the football. And they don't make really many mistakes. They've had a little too many penalties, but other than that, they're playing error-free football for the most part, and that's a winning formula.
So I don't think it's any secret that Utah prioritizes running the ball, and I think a lot of this game might come down to Cincinnati's ability to stop it and Utah's ability to do it. At least with Utah, that's what it came down to in the game against Texas Tech, because it just doesn't appear like Utah's throw game is super dynamic. So my question to you is, how is Cincinnati up front, and how are they against the run?
They've been mostly good against the run. They've had 2 games against Bowling Green from the MAC and against Oklahoma State, which are 2 of the worst teams they've played. Those teams ran the ball really well against Cincinnati. Other than that, Cincinnati's done a good job against the run. A lot of it's going to come down to how many snaps I think that they get from Dante Corleone. He had an ankle injury early in the year, missed a couple weeks, has been good since he came back, but his snap counts have been lower. And there's a feeling that some of that is they've gotten into these game situations and they haven't had to play him a ton. They haven't been forced to put him out there a lot. So they're trying to keep him fresh for this stretch run, which is probably, you know, Utah, Arizona, BYU, and then TCU. It's by far their toughest 4-game stretch of the season. So if he's healthy and able to give him one of their higher snap counts of the season, he's been an All-American. He's been an all-conference guy. He is dominant at the point of attack and generally takes up 2, sometimes 3 offensive linemen to keep him out of the backfield. If he's limited on snap count, if he's only out there 30, 35 snaps, it bodes pretty well for Utah's running game. If they have him in the middle for, you know, a larger number, 40-plus snaps, I think that bodes well for Cincinnati being able to stop the run. They haven't faced an offensive line this good. Utah maybe has the best offensive line in college football. So we'll see. It's a 3-3-5 defense. It's susceptible to the run, so that has to be a big concern for Cincinnati coming into this game. But they're going to know we got to stop the run if we're going to be successful in this game. So, you know, that part's going to be interesting to watch.
Chad, how big of a loss is Evan Pryor?
They've been kind of Evan Pryor and Tyree Walker, kind of the 1-2 punch. It's kind of a thunder and lightning type deal. I'm sure you guys have seen the highlights of and 4 or 5 times this year, Tyree Walker's just run somebody over. Evan Pryor's the run past you guy. And that hurts, not having that more explosive back. My guess is we see more of a feature back instead of a 2-back rotation, where Tyree Walker just kind of absorbs those Evan Pryor carries. So I don't think it's going to hurt them, a ton. But not having that guy out there that can, if he gets a crease, can take it for 60 yards to the house is definitely a shock to that big play nature of some of Cincinnati's offense.
So you mentioned they've gotten good quarterback play from Sorsby, and I would say, give us his story a little bit. He made it. He started at Indiana, right? Why has it been so successful at Cincinnati? Like I mentioned earlier, he's not making mistakes. He hit a rough patch at the end of last year. Cincinnati started 5-2 last year, and down the stretch, Sorsby faltered and made some bad plays. Was trying to maybe do too much at times. Was not a guy that understood when to throw the ball away, when to make the quick read. Held on to it maybe a little bit too long. He hasn't done that this year. There's been incredible growth in his game. The other thing that's helped is they're much more competent in their weapons at wide receiver. Cincinnati's got 5, sometimes 6 guys that have been big-time threats for Sorsby. They've got a little bit of everything there, and he's doing a great job throwing the ball to the open guy. He's not forcing it. He's not, setting in on I'm going to throw it here no matter what. And that has allowed the offense to be pretty diverse. It's allowed the offense to be really hard to defend. The question in this game is going to be, maybe the biggest factor has been his offensive line has been outstanding. And are they going to be outstanding against the pressure that Utah wants to bring on the quarterback? He's had really good numbers against pressure, really good numbers against the blitz this year. But, they haven't played a defense that's going to try to attack the quarterback like this. If he can continue to play clean, I think it can be a big game for him. But there's also that fear of, if Utah does dial up the pressure and they do get past this offensive line that played really well, does he maybe revert back to a little bit what we saw last year? The other thing is, like I mentioned, they've been playing from ahead almost all year. And what does it look like if he's playing from behind? Because that was the thing last year. They were behind a lot, trying to make up ground. You tend to get a little bit jumpy. You tend to get a little bit, you're trying to maybe score 2 touchdowns in one drive, the old cliche. So both teams have been pretty great in the first quarter. That first quarter is fascinating to me because I think it determines how Sorsby can play. If Cincinnati's playing from behind, does he force it? Or if they're able to get up early, does he continue to be comfortable, sit back there, make good decisions, throw the ball away when you need to throw the ball away, keep it out of trouble, and allow this offense to hum? Because they're one of the best teams in the country in yards per play. They're at over 7 yards per play, and they're doing that without a ton of, long touchdown plays. They're just consistently moving the ball down the field 8, 10, 12 yards at a time.
Utah's last 2 games at Rice Eccles Stadium, they think they've won 95-17. They've outscored their opponents, and they've put up almost 700 rushing yards. What's intimidating about playing Utah? Is it more the defense? Is that rushing attack? Is it that Utah's usually pretty good when they are at home? What do you think Cincinnati's concerned with going into this game?
I think the biggest fear is the running game and the defense playing off of each other, especially early in games. Last week against Colorado was unbelievable, the way that they just avalanched the Buffaloes. It felt like we were actually recording our post-game show as that game was happening, so we had an eye on it. And it felt like every 90 seconds we were like, up, Utah scored, up, Utah scored, up, Utah scored. And that's the thing I think that Cincinnati has to be really weary of, is allowing a fast start for a team that plays well at home. It's a very loud, rowdy stadium. can they withstand that initial surge from Utah? If they can, I think the Texas Tech and BYU games have shown it. If they punch you in the mouth and you don't flinch, it becomes an interesting game. But I think there is that Cincinnati has done a great job controlling the first quarter, but Utah's maybe even been better at it, especially in these games at home where they've been able to ride that wave of momentum. And next thing you know, you look up and you're down 3 scores and you're barely into the second quarter. And they do that in tandem. They do it with great defense. They get you off the field. I'm not telling you guys anything new, and then they run the football right at you and make you stop them play after play after play. So, that's the thing I think that this Cincinnati team has to be concerned coming into this game is keep your composure, try to limit Utah's offense early, and they can't have multiple 3-and-outs or short drives early in the game, because that's one of the other things that Cincinnati's been very good at. They've got a great punter. So if they can get a first down or two and get the ball near midfield, they can pin you inside the 15, inside the 10, and make you drive consistently throughout the game. But if you can get them 3-and-out and you can flip the field on them, they haven't dealt with that much this year. Teams have been starting, 15, 20-yard line throughout the season and have had to have long, sustained drives. It'll be interesting to see if Utah does get a couple 3-and-outs on this offense and they can start at the 30, 40-yard line. That plays right into how they want to run the football.
The most interesting thing I think about the Big 12 as a league right now, Chad, is that it's wide open. There's no dominant program. There's no big dog. There's no even like sleeping dominant program, right? I mean, even when Texas sucked for years, they were still kind of Texas, right? In the Big 12 now, it's anybody's ball game. So my question to you is, where do you think Cincinnati fits long term? Can they be a football program that is a perennial contender?
I think so, and a lot of it is where they're located, the resources that the university has committed to the program, and they've been on this kind of 20-year run now of a lot of changing situations, a lot of moving conferences, a lot of changing coaches, but they've consistently continued to stay at or near the top of the conference that they're in. It'll be a little different in this scenario because most everybody in the Big 12 is committed to winning and funding football at a pretty similar level. So I think there's going to be a lot of year to year to this in the Big 12. But this program has shown, even when they were in the Big East and they weren't the team that was spending the most or the team that was funding at the highest level, they went to the Orange Bowl and they went to the Sugar Bowl while they were in the Big East. And they won or shared 4 conference titles in 8 years. So they have that ability, and they have shown that sustainability as a program. And I think Scott Satterfield deserves a lot of credit. He took a lot of heat early, but they had kind of a long-term vision of how they wanted to build this thing. They didn't take shortcuts to get there. So maybe they took a little bit more lumps than expected, but now you're seeing that stability. Now you're seeing it pay off in how they've built this roster. And I think they do have, I don't think anybody's going to be a regular mainstay in the conference championship game in this league. But you want to be a team that in November has a chance to get there. And I think they do have that sustainability.
Is this Cincinnati's biggest game since the Cotton Bowl?
Probably, yeah. There was a game the year after the Cotton Bowl against Arkansas in Fayetteville that I think if they had won that game, the momentum could have continued at the rate that it was at. They lose a close one there, and that team kind of ran out of steam a little bit. Then Luke Fickell jumped ship. Then you have to rebuild. So yeah, probably the biggest game since the Cotton Bowl. UC fans will probably tell you the biggest game since they beat a ranked Houston team to make it to the Cotton Bowl. But right up in there with everything that happened at the end of the 2021 season.
Yeah, I should note that's 2021. Was that a playoff game at that point?
Yeah, they played Alabama in the playoffs.
Pretty amazing.
Good team,
considering where they were. But if you look back on it, that team was unfair for the American Athletic Conference. You had Kobe Bryant, you had Sauce Gardner, you had Alec Pierce, who's becoming a star for the Colts. You had Desmond Ridder, and they had 9 guys drafted off of that team. Cincinnati is not a program that has nine NFL guys on one team.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was about to make a joke about Brian Kelly was winning games in Cincinnati long before getting pantsed on the national stage there at LSU. But Cincinnati went a couple Central Michigan coaches in a row, right? As memory serves. We used to work with a Central Michigan guy, and he was always bitter about that. Oh
yeah, good old Butch. Hold the rope, rep the sea. Big slogan Butch came in after Brian Kelly, and Butch won. Butch shared a couple Big East championships here.
Yeah.
His second and third years, and then rode that out of town to Tennessee. That didn't work too well for him. But I mean, if you think about it, guys, outside of the soon-to-be governor of Alabama, Cincinnati has gone. Their coaches have gone to Michigan State, Notre Dame, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. Like, if you're going to be a stepping stone job, Cincinnati's been pretty damn good at it.
Well, you can win at Cincinnati, and that's why I asked you the Big 12 question, because it is wide open, and no doubt the Bearcats have proven they can win over the years for sure.
Hey, Chad, quickly, football. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the scary part is I've been doing this for all of those coaches. I started during the Mark D'Antonio era at Bearcat Journal and have been here ever since. I need to get out.
Well, you've endured. That's a good thing. Hey, we look at, I think if you were to maybe survey most of the country, people would say in Big 12 football, it's either Texas Tech or BYU who are the two best teams. When you look at basketball, Texas Tech and BYU expected to be two of the top 3 teams. And that, obviously those two teams have probably the best funding of anybody in the Big 12. Yeah. Is Cincinnati going to be able to keep up financially with even the middle class, or where do they sit in some of this NIL stuff?
I think they should be right in that middle class, right towards. I don't think they'd quite be in the upper middle class, but like comfortably in that like 6, 7, 8 range. I think is probably where Cincinnati likely falls as whenever this thing finds a stabilization. Like, we have not seen that in any way, shape, or form yet, but they're definitely they're too invested. They spent too much time and effort to get to this point to let it slip away. And I think that's what people maybe forget. Cincinnati didn't come from the American like on its own. They're one of the very few teams that have ever been left behind in conference realignment. They got left behind when the Big East split up, and they know what that feels like. I think there's a lot of people in those walls that are very intent on never letting that happen again. So I think they understand the challenge at hand. Like, you cannot get complacent now that you've made it, because I think they did when they got in the Big East. You know, they kind of felt like, I think there was a feeling in those walls that, hey, we're here now, we're good, we can take a breath, and it backfired on them. So I think they know better than to, ever let themselves become a bottom feeder in the league, because who knows what comes next, and who knows when it comes next. So you better continue positioning yourself for whatever happens. And if you're going to do that, you can't be seen as a team that's just filler. Because when whatever happens next, I think there's some filler that probably gets left out. Some teams that have been very comfortable at that Power 4 table for a long time. And I think they get left behind if they're not continuing to invest. I think Cincinnati knows that.
Sorry, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's been fun. You're the new Vanderbilt. Get out.
Right.
Chad, this has been fun. Thank you for coming on with us. We really appreciate it, and let's hope we have a good one tomorrow.
Happy Halloween again.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too, Chad. Thank you. All right, there you go. That is Chad Brendel, owner and publisher of Bearcat Journal. And, Ben, one thing maybe we haven't talked a ton about this week is that Cincinnati does have a guy at quarterback. And that, of course, can be a great equalizer, Brendan Sorsby. And I thought Chad brought up something interesting, that the name of Cincinnati's game has been getting on top of teams early. And if they can do that, that might be a recipe to possibly come into Rice Eccles and get a win. But then we get back to, can they stop the run and get the defense off the field? So it'll be kind of a power of wills maybe. But the fact that they've got a pretty good quarterback, 20-1 touchdown to interception ratio this year, Ben. That might be a bit of an equalizer.
And Utah has not been like a crazy turnover team this year, the way they have in some of their best years past, where they've been able to generate a lot of takeaways, interceptions, force fumbles, certainly a lot of special team success. Utah has not done that. So I'm not sure if you don't make a mistake, if they're going to force you into it. You know, what's where BYU is so successful now. BYU is so good at winning that turnover margin. You look, I mean, specifically what they've done against Utah in the last 3 victories they've had, the turnover margin has been so lopsided. That could be an issue for Utah. And if you can't force Cincinnati to make mistakes, yeah, you've got a quarterback that can make some plays, and then you find yourself behind. And again, that's the trap for Utah, is that, are you behind? Do you feel like you have to throw the ball? That's when Devon Dampier also starts to make mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting if it came down to the quarterback battle. One other interesting thing Chad said right there, which kind of struck a chord with me. He mentioned that the boosters, the money there with the Bearcats, they're motivated because Cincinnati had been left behind before. And I remember that when the Big East was breaking up, Ben. Obviously, my beloved Virginia Tech Hokies were going to the ACC at the time, and things were changing, and Cincinnati got left behind. And, of course, then they end up in the AAC, and they kind of end up adrift before landing in the Big 12, and that donors are motivated by that. It made me think of BYU, because they also got left behind, right?
Yeah,
left behind by Utah,
different.
but floating in the independent world. And yes, the rules changed, and so BYU was able to be more active with their, big money donors. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were motivated by, in fact, I'd almost guarantee it, motivated by proving that they belong and that they should have been included a long time ago.
I should have asked Chad this because I was curious about it. Does Cincinnati have one big donor, or do they have a multitude of donors?
Yeah.
Not that it really matters, I guess, but if you do have one guy a la Texas Tech who's this multi-billionaire who says we're going to be the best teams, we're going to win the transfer portal every year, that is one way to do it. But yes, motivation of saying we got left behind. And again, it's funny to go back. I was scrolling back while we were talking to Chad through some of Cincinnati's schedules, and I had forgotten that they'd gone to the playoff. Like, that was not that long ago. Now, it was 2020, 2021. It was a little bit the strange post-COVID stuff, but they were obviously a very good team, like you said. I mean, Sauce Gardner was on that team. They went undefeated that year until they played Alabama. So
no, I made a joke. Brian Kelly's teams were good. Cincinnati's been good for a while.
It's a good football program.
Yeah.
It has a history of being a good football program. So if you can get the investment there, you can win. And Ohio is a good football state, clearly, with the 2 NFL teams and Ohio State and what they've been able to do. So it is in the culture there. There's no reason to think that Cincinnati shouldn't be able to continue to compete if they have the financial tools, because if you don't, I think that will be an ultimate restriction that doesn't allow you to play.
Well, it is going to be important, though, when the next cut comes, however it looks like, whatever the next conference realignment, whatever, you need to prove that you're willing to compete. And BYU and Cincinnati certainly doing that. Utah, I think, has been doing that since they got into the Pac-12. Now things are a little bit different, but I mean, I do think it's important to prove that you're not just going to be some fledgling program in football or basketball for whenever the next time conference realignment comes around.
Just done such a good job in football and in college sports of wondering which team is no longer going to be able to compete. We're going to realign you out of relevance. We've really done a great job with this. We've really solved it.
Oh, I'm telling you, a time will come where the Big Ten is going to trim its hangers on, and the SEC is going to do the same, and they're going to replace it with highly functional teams from other leagues if they replace it.
If they replace it at all.
If they do it at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless there's a Texas and Oklahoma who they already poached, I don't know who they're kicking down the door for. Honestly, BYU looks like they're positioning themselves pretty well right now because they've got a ton of money and they're winning at a high level.
If the Big Ten ever cuts Purdue like they should have years ago, then you want to be looking good if they're going to replace old Purdue.
Cincinnati giveaways per game, they are less than 1 a game.
Take care of the ball.
Yeah, they take care of the ball. 0.6, they're tied for 5th in the country. So Utah's going to have to find a way to get that ball.
Cincinnati's got a chance, though.
Absolutely. Utah's at 1.1, by the way, tied for 50th.
Yeah. All right, we'll have top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com coming up right around the corner. Happy Halloween. Happy Friday to everyone. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, Ute fans, it's time for another Utah keyword. Your chance to win tickets to Saturday night's blackout game against Cincinnati. This hour, the keyword is...
Swoop! I don't get it.
Text it to 57500, and you'll automatically be entered to win tickets for Saturday night. Again, that keyword is...
Swoop!
All one word, no spaces. Text 57500 for your chance to win. And listen next hour for another keyword to increase your chance of winning.
Christian, how do you spell that?
SWOOP.
Okay.
We will select a winner at the end of the day. For details and contest rules, go to KSLSports.com.
There's no H in there? No swoop? It's just swoop. Okay.
We've got a lot to do today, so not to distract, but I actually had a chance to interact with Swoop last week, and I don't know how to play along. I felt like I let the mascot down because I don't know how to interact with a mascot.
Yeah.
I was emceeing a thing, Swoop was there, and he was like trying to
be all around.
He was trying to like play off me, and because I'm sitting there holding the microphone, and I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do here? If you could talk, you could tell me exactly what you're looking for here, but I've got nothing.
Told you I don't like his human hands. I want big Mickey Mouse gloves or something. I don't like the real human hand touching me when they've got a costume on. It's a little weird to me.
Crappy soapbox racer.
Not good.
Not his strength.
Not his expertise. Okay.
No. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start?
Number 1, gentlemen, it is a football Friday. Tomorrow we've got Utah versus Cincinnati, and then BYU and Utah State are on bye.
Thanks to Chad Brendel, who joined us in the first segment. I thought he was really good, giving us a perspective on Cincinnati. My Bearcat fandom aside, Ben, I definitely favor Utah in this game. I think Utah's going to win, but I come back to the quarterback. I think might be kind of the X factor. Can Cincinnati win it by making big plays through the air? I think that's maybe their chance. Other than that, I don't see him stopping Utah's run. So
I definitely think that's their chance to win. 20 touchdowns, 1 interception this season.
Yeah.
Really great.
And he can run, too.
As good as it gets.
He's pretty good.
So we will see how he plays there. I do think Utah's defense, yes, is going to be the difference in this game. And then the ability to just kind of run out of clock, shorten the game, and do the things that Kyle Whittingham likes to do so much. I do think there is... inevitably, if there are struggles by Utah in the first quarter, especially offensively, you will start to see Bird Ficklen's name come across your Twitter timeline or however you watch the game. You will just start to see, like, well, maybe Utah's got the wrong guy. I think you're inevitably going to see that if Utah's not up 14-3.
Well, that's also Cincinnati's recipe for victory, is they can get on top of Utah early. So if that happens, then it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'd be surprised if they bench the quarterback mid-game. I mean,
they shouldn't, and I don't think they will.
Things would have to be spiraling,
or he'd have to be
quite badly,
clearly physically unwell,
or hurt.
If he can't
I know.
move, that would be the big thing.
I'm saying healthy. I don't think they're moving away from a quarterback mid-game.
I totally agree. I do wonder. You know, it's funny to hear Witt in his post-game, or maybe it was Monday morning, even talking, and he kind of talked about how, it's unusual. You don't see a lot of chunk plays. Really, it's unusual to see a team score that often. It's like, it's not that unusual. It's a little unusual for your team, but chunk plays should be a part of the game. Getting those big 40 yards, not 75-yard every game, but, most teams have the ability to have a big play result in a touchdown most games. And Utah's inability to do that consistently does hurt them. Hurt them against BYU. It hurt them against Texas Tech. They thought they had one against Texas Tech, and it got called back. if Utah can get that, they should be able to hang, and not just hang, but probably put Cincinnati away. I know you're a big Bearcats believer. I'm less of a believer in the team.
So they are going to be without their leading rusher, Evan Pryor, but that is very misleading because he technically has the most yards on the team, but as we talked to Chad about it, he's kind of their home run guy. He's not their leader when it comes to carries. In fact, he has 24 less carries than Towie Walker? I should know, I'm the Bearcats guy. Well, but anyway, Chad told us that Walker he's the hammer back and Pryor is the home run back. So they're going to miss the speed guy, but the hammer guy is still going to be there.
And to give you a sense of the workload he has had throughout the season, he has fewer carries and fewer yards than Wayshawn Parker. So again, Wayshawn is not like 20 carries a game guy, and this Pryor has even fewer carries and fewer yards than that. So yeah, I mean, it's a loss, but it is not necessarily like losing Zach Moss in his prime for Cincinnati. That's not what they're dealing with. So
No, it's not. So I think it's going to come down to the quarterback and does Cincinnati score early. But if Utah, does what you talked about and runs the ball and holds the ball and scores and exerts their will on both sides, then they should win.
Agreed.
Next.
Number 2, we got the Jazz in action tonight down in Phoenix to begin the NBA Cup.
Be curious to see the Jazz face a team for the second time. Obviously, I suspect that you're going to see the Suns come out and try and really slow down Lauri Markkanen. I think that's going to be the big issue for them. They couldn't do it. He scored 51 points, a career high, in Monday night's game. Dillon Brooks remains out. He continues to have this strain, whatever he's dealing with, the muscle injury that's going to keep him out. And I don't think we're going to see Jalen Green either. So as long as the Suns team is this shorthanded, I do think you're going to have a great chance to win if you're the Jazz, and that's moving to 3-2 on the season, which is probably better than I expected them to be at this point.
Are the Suns going to try and stop anybody?
I don't think they have defensive guys on their team.
Well, it just didn't seem like they were much of a defensive team when we saw them. Are they still? I think they still rank at the bottom of the league defensively, albeit small sample size.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's going to be their thing. Grayson Allen might go for 40 tonight, though.
And they're at home. They should be playing a little bit better at home. They did just almost beat the Grizzlies, but they didn't beat the Grizzlies. They lost. So they'll be tougher than they were in Utah, and even that game went to overtime. But
it shouldn't have, but yeah.
Correct. Jazz were up by 7 with 23 seconds to go and couldn't find a way to close it out in regulation, but good for them. They woke up and closed it in overtime. I'll be curious if we see actual changes to the rotation. That was kind of the threat that Will Hardy made after the last game. He said, if you don't play defense, you're not going to play. And the problem is you can't only suit up 3 guys. And I think only 3 guys have played defense so far for the Jazz this year. So we will see how he navigates that. But I'll be curious if he finds an ability to make a change. And I strongly suspect the plan was not to start Svi Mykhailiuk through the entire season, and that Ace Bailey's injury and illness before the season kept him from getting that starting job on opening night. And then they won a little bit, so you kind of get stuck playing him because he's playing pretty well and the team's winning. You can't really bench a guy for that. I think that sends a bad message to your team. But I'll be curious if Flip stays in the starting lineup. I'll be curious how long Svi stays in the starting lineup. And look, if you want to start Ace, you don't have to pull Svi. You can just put Lowry up at the 4, move Flip out, and put Ace Bailey at the 3 if that's what the move you want to make.
Well, if I think you should place VHT probably less. I don't think he's a key component. His top is probably what he's playing right now. But having Ace earn it isn't a bad thing.
It's not.
It's not a bad thing that Svi's playing well, and Ace is like, oh, I thought I was going to be gifted that position. I guess I'm going to have to go out and play for it. That's not a bad thing.
It's not, but, did Darren Williams become a much better player because Milt Palacio started in front of him? No. I
don't know.
Darren was going to be a much better player. I even look back at, you sent Bryce Sensabaugh and Taylor Hendricks to the G League their rookie years for the entire first half of the season, and I know the Jazz were playing well at that point, but, again, Taylor broke his leg. It's a little bit of a different story. But, is Bryce setting the world on fire because of that? I don't think so.
I think it depends on the person. With Darren, and Jerry actually said he felt he made a mistake when he did that. But Darren was also a salty...
He was entitled.
No. His personality, especially at the time, he was kind of a salty jerk.
He was, yeah.
And it's kind of what drove him, and what made it... he carried that I was benched for the first half of his rookie season. He carried that for his whole career.
He did. He thought he was entitled to that starting job, and he probably was. He was the
And
best
he wasn't.
situation out there.
I would
He
argue
was
that
the best player out there.
he was a better player maybe because of it. Maybe it wasn't the only way he became good, but I'd argue that it drove him to be better.
Maybe. The thing is, Milt Palacio was not a long-term member of the team, and Darren Williams was. And likewise, I don't think Steve Mikhailuk is a long-term member of the Jazz. I think Ace Bailey will be. So I get it.
Make him beat him out. If you can't beat out SVHT, what are we doing here?
Well, the truth is he may not be better than Svi today. He doesn't have the wisdom to be better. He's probably a better player.
So don't
he
give it to
doesn't
him.
have the basketball knowledge to necessarily beat out Svi. But that doesn't mean that's not where your direction is headed. I still think the best thing for the team is getting Ace on the floor as much as possible. And I think they know that, and I think we're going to get there pretty soon.
Next.
We'll see if it happens tonight.
Number 3, breaking news out of Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham has announced that Sam Leavitt is out for the season.
He's got a foot injury that I guess has been lingering, and they finally decided that he needs surgery, and that's going to end his year.
Yeah, injuries stink. And now Arizona State's probably going to stink.
They go back to Sims. I will be really curious if this is something Dillingham and Arizona State can get over, or if they were a flash in the pan
This year or as a program?
as a program.
I don't think Dilly's a flash in the pan. I like the way he's doing it down there. I don't know if they'll win the league every year.
We know that's not going to
But-
happen, but when has Arizona State ever been good?
No, they're always average. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So
and
I don't know if he's going to change that.
that could be true. I mean, that's the PK line of thinking. I'm not going to, far be it from me to doubt PK, who's followed Arizona State for so long. PK famously asked Herm Edwards, every single last coach since Kush has been decidedly average. What makes you any different?
How are you going to be any better?
Hilarious.
Herm didn't love it.
So,
and I
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
think
so-
the same thing about Dilly, and I don't think that's a problem with Kenny Dillingham. I think that's a problem with the school.
Yeah, maybe. He is doing it, or at least trying to do it differently than those other coaches did. So, maybe like with your guy McGuire there with the Raiders, maybe he's different than the pretty boy is now with the Commies.
Where did Scatabo come from?
Junior college, Sac State?
So was that Dillingham's first year? Did he only play 1 year with Dillingham, or was he already there?
2. No, he's Dilly's
He
guy,
is
though.
Dilly's guy, though.
Yeah.
Okay, as was Sam Leavitt.
Right.
He got him from Michigan State. So that's a good sign that he found a way to get a couple of guys that
Yeah,
did
I don't
matter.
know. Arizona State could go back to the middle. Sure, I could see that. But
I would bet on it.
He's at least trying something different than those other bozos did.
Not a bozo.
No, I don't think he's a
Yeah.
bozo, no. All
So
right.
I think they're respectable. I just don't think they're going to be a power by any means.
We'll have more coming up next. Steve Bartle will join us at the top of the 11 o'clock hours. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a much-needed off week for the Cougars as they rest up for the final stretch of the 25 season. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You can win big every Wednesday with Win Ticket Wednesday. Coming up next week, you can win tickets to step into the magic at Holiday Lights at Ballpark at America First Square. A brand new immersive holiday tradition opening November 14th. Reserve your tickets at the Ballpark. What is that? You won't let me wear my glasses. AFS.com. The Ballpark at AFS.com. Let me read that again.
Where is his glasses? He can't see without his glasses.
The Ballpark
Oh, you know you should have been
at
for Halloween?
AFS.com. And listen all
Macaulay
day on
Culkin in
Wednesday.
that movie, My Girl. You should have been him.
Ben,
Could have worn a little coffin. with
currently
glasses.
on the TV.
I guess he's not wearing his glasses in the coffin.
Currently on the
'Cause he
TV
can't see without them.
in the studio.
Just like you.
We have a commercial for 87-cent Viagra, which
a good deal.
is
It's a good price.
is interesting, but it is on the Fox network, and it is not the advertising we're used to on Armpit's show.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering what was throwing me off. It's because we don't have Armpit in the background. We got, what's his herd?
Colin.
And that bozo used to write for the big lead. What's that guy's name?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Carl?
J-Mac.
But we've got them up in the studio, and I'm going, where's Armpit? We're used to seeing Armpit. What's going on here?
We don't have ESPN at the moment.
We've got YouTube TV
Yep.
here in the studio, and YouTube TV and the Mouse are currently fighting.
They're at odds.
And all the Mouse's programming has been pulled off of YouTube TV. So if you're a big Disney Channel fan, you can't watch it on YouTube TV.
Their contract expired with Google. It's Google who owns YouTube TV. And
Yes, Google owns YouTube, so that would make sense.
so now they're fighting. And Google doesn't want to pay more for the broadcast rights. And ESPN says they're not going to buckle. I would imagine this gets resolved before tomorrow, but in Utah and ESPN tomorrow night?
Yes.
So
Game Day's here.
And game day's here. So, yeah, if you are a YouTube TV subscriber, you might miss out on some of the action tomorrow.
Here's YouTube TV's statement, Ben.
Okay.
Members, when we renew our contracts with network partners, we advocate for fair pricing to offer you the best TV experience. Our contract with the Mouse has reached its renewal date, and we'll not agree to terms that disadvantage our members while benefiting the Mouse's TV products. Despite our best efforts, we have not been able to reach a fair deal, and starting today, the Mouse will not be available on YouTube TV. This means you will no longer blah, blah, blah. They're going to offer you $20 if it goes on much longer.
Here's $20.
Nice.
Christian, you're going to be a rich man.
It's my parents' account.
Your parents are going to be rich people. It's nice because your dad's not getting paychecks, right? He's been furloughed by the old U.S. government.
Yeah.
Tough. He could use the $20.
You know what? Having done this job for so long, I feel like we've talked about everything under the sun forever. What was Hairdo's name, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference? Craig Thompson.
Yeah, Craigers.
The man was actually kind of brilliant. He was just not the right man to do some of the stuff he was doing and had the right product. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Mountain Network was actually brilliant.
It was ahead of its time.
And it was copied and all this. The Mountain West Conference was just not the conference.
Yeah, the product stunk.
Was not the conference to do it. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the infrastructure. And frankly, they didn't have the eyeballs on TVs, right? We have been talking about programming contract disputes for longer than anybody else in the country. Do you remember when old Craig was trying to get the Mountain Network onto DirecTV and onto Dish Network? It was all we talked about.
Yeah, the mess.
A mess. We'd have Ryan from the Dish Pros on as a guest.
Yeah.
To be like, Ryan,
what's going on?
What's going on with this whole thing? And both sides are fanning the flames and saying, call this guy and call that guy. And I said it at the time, Ben, it is so stupid. Both companies, it is so stupid that you are leveraging your customers.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It is so stupid.
Who gets hurt? Yeah, the fans who want to watch game day, the fans who want to watch the Utes, or whatever game tomorrow.
Are the ones who get screwed over.
Yeah, they do. It stinks.
And you know what? The Mouse has been shaking down these providers for years. ESPN has been the most expensive channel on cable, satellite, whatever, for years.
Yep.
And they leverage the hearts of fans who just want to watch their team's game. And it's ugly. I don't like it.
Yep.
And
I agree with you.
they don't really do it with, I don't even know what's on ABC anymore. What's a TV show?
Dancing with something. Somebody's dancing with somebody.
Like if you're missing Dancing with the Stars, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But if you're a Ute fan and you can't watch your game, you're going to make a PO'd phone call.
Yeah.
So they leverage that energy then to shake you down.
100%.
Because no matter what happens with this, the Mouse will end up back on YouTube TV. And guess what? Christian's prices are going up. That's inevitable.
Sorry, Christian's parents.
Sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Steve Bartle joins us next. Stay tuned. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
The Utes get set for another huge Big 12 game as they square off against Cincinnati. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hanson Scotty coming up next Tuesday at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Time to talk some Utes with Steve Bartle. Let's hit it.
Covering the Utes better than anyone else. This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Jake.
How are you, buddy? Are you going? You going to be there for game day? I'm sure. Yeah.
Not like early in the morning because that's for like the crazies and stuff. But sounds like there's going to be a lot of crazies up there. So, but I'll be up there, and KSL Sports will all be up there, and looking forward to it. I'm actually headed up to meet with the college game day media personalities right now. So, looking forward to this weekend.
How is Utah faring with game day being here? It's the second time in 3 weeks they've played a huge game on national TV. They look great against Colorado, not as good against BYU. How are they handling where they are right now in the season with this type of attention?
Yeah, obviously with the two previous big games with Texas Tech, BYU on the schedule, both of those were Fox big noon kickoffs. Utah's 0-2 in those matchups, and I think this is an opportunity. ESPN College Game Day coming around this time. For Utah to get the monkey off their backs, essentially. With this game and with this setting, and Utah's done a tremendous job so far of taking care of business against the teams that they should take care of business against, and they've played tight against. Obviously, two of the top teams in the conference in Tech and BYU. And I think this is, a matchup against Cincinnati where the Bearcats are coming into this ranked 17, 7-1 on the season. They ripped off 7 straight wins. They're playing great football. This is the sort of win that Utah absolutely needs to have on the resume. And, in the conference title race, everything sort of hinges on this game. Whether Utah is going to have an actual chance at, making it to the title game or not, it all starts this weekend with Cincinnati.
I don't mean this to be a leading question in any way, shape, or form, but I'm curious to your answer. Who is their best quarterback on the roster right now?
Devon Dampier. Come on, Jake.
I'm just asking. Bird played well last week. That's all. And Ben's been telling me Bird's a better thrower. So that's all I'm asking.
It's a conversation, and I get it. Like, it's with the way that Bird Ficklin played last week, right? I think the most impressive thing beyond the second play of the game, him ripping off a 63-yard touchdown, the most impressive thing about how he looked was just the fact that, he looked like he belonged, right? He looked comfortable. He looked confident. It took him time to kind of settle into the game, right? He started 1 of 7. Got into the game. Once he got his nerves calmed down, he ended up going 9 of 15 the rest of the way, generating 140 yards through the air, 150 yards total. He looked fantastic. And, the offense was it was easier for him in terms of the passing game and what they were setting up. And he made good decisions throughout the night with the ball. And, he tried to force a throw or two, but I thought really, really he impressed with just how he conducted himself on the field all Saturday night. And, it was going to be important for him to be a true dual threat, and he was exactly that for Utah against Colorado.
Even if Dampier starts, which is what everyone's expecting, do you think they will find a way to get Bird on the field at all? Maybe give him some special opportunities to show what he can do or make plays with his legs? Or is he going to be purely a backup and be off the field?
No, I think it's going to be valuable for Utah to try and get him on the field a little bit more. And with Dampier, my expectation is he is going to start. He's going to be ready to go. And with Bird, now that you've seen him manage a game, a full game, 3/4 of a full game, you can now trust him to just execute some more typical options where, he came into games in situations in the past, and it was sort of predictable what they were going to do with him at quarterback and kind of leaning on the run play and things of that nature. Now he's got a little bit more confidence. He's got a little bit more probably trust and faith in the coaching staff for him to go out there and execute things. And I think Utah will take the approach of trying to incorporate him. This is Dampier's team, but we can still sprinkle in a little Ficklin throughout the games moving forward. I think that's probably the approach that we see Utah take with this quarterback room.
As far as Cincinnati goes, their quarterback Sorsby is good. I mean, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception. His completion percentage is at 65. So tell me about Utah's pass defense right now. And I know everything about Utah's defense was great last week, certainly. But do you think they're vulnerable to Sorsby at all this weekend?
Sorsby's great. He was a quarterback that I really liked. And going back to last year, watching his film, felt really good about his game and what he was doing with the Bearcats. I just felt like there wasn't a lot around him last year to really help him win games. But in terms of just his ability to lead a team, I came away really impressed with Sorsby from last year. And now that they've added some pieces around him, I thought he was going to take a good step forward this year. I never thought this was in the cards for Sorsby. He's playing tremendously good football. I think he has a 20-1 touchdown to interception ratio on the year. He's added 7 more touchdowns on the ground. He is a fantastic quarterback. And what this offense does with Cincinnati, it's heavy RPO stuff, which sort of helps them eliminate the opportunity for defenses to get pressure on them. You look at some of the numbers in pass protection in Cincinnati, they've limited sacks to just 2 on the year. They've only allowed 2 sacks on the year with a very low pressure rate. I'm blanking on the number right now. But they do a good job of protecting Sorsby and getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And so for me, that's going to be a really important dynamic in this game, is disrupting the timing in that RPO stuff. And what we've seen from Utah secondary the last couple of weeks, we were having conversations earlier in the year about how rough Utah secondary looked. And over the last couple of weeks, I think they've really kind of come into form a little bit. They're still giving up plays here and there, but overall, you look at some of the efficiency numbers, and it's highlighted by what Blake Cotton is doing on the outside. He's somebody that we're not talking about enough, but I think he's allowed 3 receptions on, I think, about 13, 14 targets over the last 3 games, and is really doing a good job of just limiting the efficiency, limiting, conversions, receptions, and Smith Snowden continuing to play at a high level. And with him getting away from the offense and focusing more on defense, I think has allowed him to kind of focus on that, obviously on that part of the ball, and he's elevated his game at cornerback as well. So, Utah's, I think, rounding into form in the defensive secondary, and I think that is going to be a big kind of determining matchup, is Utah's secondary and ability to disrupt timing versus Sorsby and this RPO attack.
Is Utah going to have to put up 30 points in this game? I mean, are we thinking this is going to be a shootout for the Utes, and is that something you think they're going to be capable of against the Cincinnati team?
Yeah, I think, you have to put respect on Sorsby and the way that Bearcat offense is performing. And I think this is the sort of game where you're going to need to get to 30 points. And, for Utah, when you look at this matchup on their offense against this Bearcat defense, this Bearcat defense, they've got some playmakers. They've got some guys, particularly at linebacker. Jake Golday is probably the top linebacker behind Jacob Rodriguez at Texas Tech this season. Golday is playing fantastic football. He's a big body at 6'4", 240 pounds. He's doing it in all 3 phases, against the run, as a pass rusher, in coverage. He's really a guy that I think is patrolling the middle of the field really effectively for the Bearcats. With Utah's offense in this run game, it's sort of been, can these opponents stop the Utah rushing attack, right? It's up to the opponent to prove that they can do that. Texas Tech has been really the only team that's stopped Utah's rushing attack. So I think you feel good about that is Utah's run game. And Cincinnati, they play this 3-3-5. It's a bend, don't break type of defense where they're going to allow teams to put together drives and sustain drives, but they really tighten up in the red zone. So that's going to be the key. And Utah's been really good at sustaining drives, at putting together quality drives where they get into scoring position. This week it's going to be about how well do they finish in the red zone. So that's going to be the key. And I like Utah, how they match up. I do think you're going to need Dampier to get the passing game, to establish the passing game, to open up the run game a little bit, because you know that Cincinnati, after seeing Utah run for 422 yards against Colorado last week, you know that their game plan all week has been stop the run, and stop the run at the top of the game plan. So Utah's going to need the passing game to open up some lanes, to provide balance, and just to play complementary football both in both phases of the game.
Picking through Cincinnati's defense, they can want to stop the run all they want. Doing it is another thing. Do they have because looking at specifically at their defensive line, Texas Tech's defensive line was so good. I don't know if Cincinnati's that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the test for Cincinnati. They have a fantastic nose tackle in Dante Corleone, the Godfather is his nickname. He's a big body at 6'1", 330 pounds. He's in that 3-3-5. He's the nose tackle. He's the guy plugging it up the middle. And then, their athleticism, their linebackers are really important in kind of containing things on the perimeter. But when you look at how opponents have been able to run against them, there's been balance across the board, across the line of scrimmage, getting to the outside on either side, running it up the middle. And so you feel good about Utah's ability to establish the run and to run against this Cincinnati team. It's just, what is Cincinnati going to do? Because you know that they're not going to come in playing the same defense that they did against Baylor and against Kansas State and against some of these other teams, because it is all about stopping the run against Utah. So what sort of game plan do they come in with? And how prepared is Utah to see any sort of surprises, right? I think last week, Morgan Scalley's defensive game plan was fantastic. It was the right call because it was so aggressive. And I think caught Colorado by surprise. I think Utah needs to be prepared for something similar from Cincinnati this week.
You a YouTube TV guy, Bartle?
I'm not. No, I got Fubo. I've got everything I need on Fubo.
Because I would, if you were a YouTube TV guy, I would assume you're missing Disney Junior a lot right now. But since you're not, you're all right. Steve, we appreciate you and all of your fine work. Thanks for jumping on with us.
I appreciate you, Jake. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Steve.
That's our buddy Steve Bartle.
Just glad he put my name in there this time.
Well, he only said hello to me.
I know. The heck, pal.
What? Your feelings hurt?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Big time.
Oh, no, I think you should get over it. I don't think it. How about Steve saying that Dampier is the best quarterback on the roster and scoffing, probably for the way I asked the question, but scoffing at the idea that he's not.
You have that much experience, he probably should be, and, we saw a really nice performance, I thought, from Bird Ficklin against a truly terrible team in Colorado that was outmatched in Salt Lake City. I won't be surprised if Cincinnati also looks outmatched, not because of Bird Ficklin. I don't think we're going to see Bird Ficklin. And in fact, unless it is a 50-14 game, which I don't expect from Utah, though that is what their last two home games have been, I don't expect to see him, and I don't think Utah should put him out there. Don't put him out there if you don't have to. Don't risk guys that don't have to be risked, but just establish that Devon Dampier's your guy. You've got 3 more weeks after this, right? Not that many games left in the season. So just play him. He's your guy. You're fine. You've got to win this game, and I do think going into it, he's going to give you the best chance. I don't think you need to set up special series or anything for him. Maybe they will. Get him roll out. Get him to use his speed a little bit. Maybe he can wrong foot you with the throw, like you like to say. But if Dampier's your guy, Dampier's your guy. Go with him.
All right. I don't think it is as cut and dry that he's the better quarterback on the team. I mean, you can say if Dampier's your guy. I mean, I think the reasoning going into that is interesting. But I think if Bird's a better quarterback, then you would go with him. But maybe Witt doesn't think Bird's a better quarterback, which is fine.
I don't know if we've seen anything that guarantees that Bird's the better quarterback unless you think just the big playability is there for him and it's not for Dampier.
I think it's more there for him.
I think it's possible. He might be faster,
And then if you combine that with he's a better thrower than Dampier, then I don't know why you wouldn't start him.
I will be curious again to see how Utah approaches the running game with the running backs and who gets those carries. Is that Wayshawn Parker? Is it Daniel Bray? Or is it N'Keary Rogers? Who are they going to go with? Because N'Keary Rogers seems to have fallen out of favor some, which was surprising because the last time Witt really addressed him was talking about how good he had become, especially in some of those short yardage situations.
All right, Ute fans, it's time for another Utah keyword. Your chance to win tickets to Saturday night's blackout game against Cincinnati. That'd be tomorrow. This hour, the keyword is crimson. Crimson. Text it to 57500, and you'll automatically be entered to win tickets for tomorrow night's game. That keyword again, crimson, all one word with no spaces. Text it to 57500 for your chance to win. And listen next hour for another keyword to increase your chances of winning, and we're going to pick a winner at the end of the day. So for more details or contest rules, go to KSLSports.com. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
The Utes get set for another huge Big 12 game as they square off against Cincinnati. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Hanson Scotty coming up on Tuesday at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. RGS Exteriors. Man, I hate Halloween.
You hate everything, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like holidays, really.
You don't like anything. What do you like? I've never once heard you be like, you know what I'm really excited for? Waking up in the morning, being alive, enjoying friends, family, loved ones, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like fun. I don't like happiness.
You don't like anything.
Well, that's not really how I roll. You know what?
Enjoying things?
I like Thanksgiving.
Okay. Well, good. Kenny J's is catering your Thanksgiving now.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it does sound really good. Kenny J's rules.
That doesn't sound
awesome.
bad, actually. But no, yeah, I kind of like Thanksgiving. I'm excited. I was excited to see my daughter in the parade today. Mm-hmm. I like that about Halloween. How's that? Like her big smile on her face as she
like that.
Show off her costume. I like that.
I am glad that you in your early 40s have started to realize that sometimes the joy in life is not about you specifically, but other people having a good time and you getting to enjoy that with them or for them. But you are the person who is furious when your friends' sports teams win games. So I guess it's not how you're wired.
Okay, furious is not the way to put it.
You're not happy about it. You are less happy when PK has a team that he likes, the Dodgers, and PK has every team. We get it. But whatever team you have a friend rooting for, winning, makes your day worse somehow.
No, I wouldn't say that it has.
Well, I've seen it. I've watched it. I've seen you come. Dodgers won. Guess I got to see PK's face this morning. Yeah, people get to enjoy themselves. Nothing makes you less happy than other people enjoying something.
See, you've hit on something that the reason I feel that way, well, not the entire reason, but I do get annoyed that people somehow let me put it. I'm not happy for someone if their team wins. They didn't do anything. It's like, would you be happy for somebody if their favorite TV show took a weird plot twist? No.
Sure.
Like, they didn't do anything. It doesn't affect their life. In fact, that's part of why I do cheer against my friends' teams. You know what? I love PK dearly.
But you want to teach him a lesson.
The success
you want him to feel pain because you think it will make him a better person.
The success of the Sun Devils doesn't cause him pain. The success of the Dodgers doesn't cause him
But it absolutely does.
pain.
You're right. It doesn't cause him physical pain.
It doesn't cause pain.
It does.
And the fact that we
people lose sleep, people can't function after their teams
Well, they
lose.
shouldn't. That doesn't mean it's real.
Regardless, should or shouldn't, it does happen.
No, what it does is it discounts the meaning of the word pain. People who lose sleep over real things, I would never cheer for that. I would never cheer for something.
I'm not convinced of that either.
I would never cheer for something negative to happen in PK's life. Absolutely not. The same as I would not want anything bad to happen in Christian's personal life. But you know what I'm going to do? Cheer against his stupid donks. Because it doesn't matter. Because if the Donks win or lose, Christian still gets out of bed in the morning.
Say that.
Don't give me this pain stuff because it's not real pain.
Here's the thing. You can say that, but clearly it is. People get enjoyment and sadness out of their sports teams. They just do. You can say they shouldn't. You can say they can't. You can say it's not real. 100% clearly it is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
People dedicate their entire life to this stuff. People dedicate all of their money and all of their time to this stuff. The number of buses, because I live in Salt Lake City, when I drive around and I see people with I've probably seen a dozen campers that are painted red and white for Utah that they take up to the tailgate. It's their entire identity for a lot of people.
Okay, but the team winning and losing does not affect their personal life. It does not.
Apparently it does.
That's
it
fine.
May not yours, but it does them.
It doesn't, though. It really doesn't. I'm sorry, but it really doesn't.
I don't know why you would say that, because clearly it does. So it brings people joy and sadness.
So last year, how many games did the Utes win?
5.
Are you telling me that there are Ute fans' lives out there that were actually worse off because the team sucked?
100% yes.
That's not real. It's not real. If you think your life is worse because your favorite football team lost, I don't know what to tell you. That is not correct.
Well, that is how they feel.
And if you're saying you feel pain over it, then I'm sorry. Have you never felt real pain? Have you never lost a loved one?
I think
have you never gone through something that actually causes pain?
I think it's also disrespectful to feel like people can't hold both things. Yes, because everybody's dealt with pain, because everybody's been alive, and living has
So
that.
if your team loses, I'm not going to feel bad for you, like as if you lost a loved
like
one.
All pain is the same. Yeah, you're right. Losing your father is a much different feeling than Utah losing to BYU.
So cheering against PK's Sun Devils doesn't matter. And in fact, what you're talking about makes it more funny to me. Like if Christian were really shedding tears over the Donks, that would be funny to me. Yes, that would be funny. And I don't feel bad about it. If
I'm
you're
not saying you have to feel bad about it.
If you're a grown man crying over a professional outcome of a sporting event, that's funny, and you should seek help.
I'm fine with that, and I'm fine with your opinion, but for you to dismiss it as not being real, that Christian cries every time the Broncos lose a game, it happens. We've seen it happen. Especially this.
And it's funny.
And that's fine.
Because it's not real pain.
It is real because it causes him to cry.
I don't care what causes Christian to cry. I've seen people cry because the stoplight turned red. That doesn't mean that I'm
not saying you have to waste time on it. I'm just saying you can't dismiss it that it's not real for people. It is real for people.
I've cried over opening the dishwasher to see clean dishes inside when I was just hoping to put my lunch plate in.
Sure.
And I've just lost it.
Sure.
Because the last thing I want to do is empty the dishwasher. That doesn't mean that my pain is real.
Yes.
That people should feel bad. Oh, feel bad that his dishwasher was full. Look at his tears.
Not everything has to be compared to whether or not you survived the nuclear Holocaust.
That's not what I'm comparing it to.
That is what you're comparing it to. It either has to be the worst thing in the world or it doesn't matter.
You're telling me that I should feel bad for somebody when their favorite team loses. I'm telling you this. I don't
think you should feel any way for anybody, but you are dismissing people having actual emotions tied to sporting events. And they do. Clearly they do. It's a billion-dollar business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Of course people are emotionally invested. If they weren't, it wouldn't make money. We wouldn't have jobs.
Not my problem.
Kind of your problem.
Not in my personal life when I can cheer against my own friends' teams all I
no
want
one's
because
asking
it
it to
doesn't
be your
matter.
problem. And now you've lost it to the story of what you root for your friends for and against. It's the fact that you feel like nobody can enjoy things or should be able to enjoy things because you don't enjoy Halloween specifically, which is how this conversation started. But you dismiss it as not being real. It is real. Emotions are real.
Am I writing my congressman about canceling Halloween? No, I'm not. What are you even saying? Because I don't like dressing up and I don't like walking around my neighborhood?
I said you don't like anything. You don't like anything, including Halloween, because you can't enjoy that other people enjoy.
And
things.
I don't like the Filgerbacks, and I don't like the Sun Devils, and I don't like the Donks.
What's the backstory on Filgerbacks?
It's because PK somehow has 3 favorite teams, and they're all National League
right.
teams,
The
and
Phillies,
2 of them are in the same
the
division.
Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Okay, it's a portmanteau. I get it. I didn't realize that. Okay, that makes sense.
How do you have 3 favorite teams? Like he's riding high every baseball season
Yeah,
because
life's
he's
good.
like, oh, my Filgerbacks
Every
are
night
killing
somebody
it.
won.
Every night.
That's a good way to pick life.
So I'm not going to cheer for the Filgerbacks. In fact, I'm going to cheer against the Filgerbacks. But you know who I'm cheering for in life? Patrick Kinahan.
Sure. But you understand that he can feel like his team winning makes him feel better, and you can enjoy that he feels better when his team wins.
No, he shouldn't feel better when his team wins. It doesn't matter.
That's the whole crux of this argument, is that people do feel better when their teams win.
Good for them.
And you're saying they shouldn't.
Oh, well, I'm saying that I don't have to feel happy
No,
for them.
but you just said they shouldn't care.
I
You
don't-
shouldn't care if Salazar's Raiders win games.
No, honestly, listen to me. 100% serious. I mean, if your life is worse because your team lost, and I'm talking about legit worse because your team lost, you need to do some self-analysis. But I don't think that your average fan out there, just because they're bummed the day after their team lost, does not mean that their life is worse. It just means that their team lost. It's like somebody who's like, oh, I'm really bummed that season 5 of my favorite TV show ended and I have to wait another year for it to start. I don't feel bad for you.
I think that's fair. And again, I don't think I'm
But
asking
honestly,
you to feel bad for
when
anybody.
Christian's donks lose, his life isn't worse.
No, it
And he will
doesn't
be the
change
first to
the
tell you-
outcome of his...
And when the donks win, his
Future.
life isn't better. It's just something he's invested in went his way or didn't.
I don't
Now,
know.
I guess
think
if
those
you're
small victories are good. I think having good things happen in your life that you enjoy does improve the quality
now
of your
it
life.
would complicate matters if Salazar came to me and said I lost $50,000 on the Raiders. Now that would complicate my feelings toward the matter. But just because the Raiders lose doesn't mean I have to feel bad for Lloyd.
I think that's fair.
Quite the opposite.
That's fine.
I'm pretty stoked the Raiders
I'm
lost.
not saying you have to root for or against anybody. I believe that people's quality of life can be altered by their sporting team. Whether it should or not is irrelevant. I just know that it does.
Our guy Tony Parks is the biggest Cubs fan I know. When the Cubs won the World Series, people were like, oh, I'm so happy for you, Tony. It's like, I'm not happy for you. You didn't do anything.
Colton on Twitter says, I was in the dumps for a good week after Super Bowl 51. It's still a sore subject. Yeah, it still hurts people. Absolutely. There are Jazz fans still hurt by Michael Jordan. That you could say if it's still haunting you 30 years later, it has affected the quality of your life.
Incorrect. And just because you remember something doesn't mean it's haunting you, please. He remembers an outcome that didn't go well for his team. What else is new?
Yeah,
it didn't negatively affect his life.
That's how grief works.
He wasn't on the road to homelessness after Super Bowl 51.
Well, I don't know what Colton did or didn't do about Super Bowl 51. I'd hope not. I'd hope that wasn't the beginning of a spiral. But he's still working.
It wasn't.
I hope
That's
not.
the whole point.
I think it can be for
The
some
whole
people.
point is
I
that-
don't think it ruins their life.
The whole point is that Colton is alive and well and snap talking the Jake and Ben show. And hopefully killing it. Having nothing to do with Super Bowl 51. I can't believe you're even arguing this. It doesn't make any sense.
I can't believe what you're arguing is that sports don't matter.
I hope that that's not what I'm arguing at all. I get why people like sports. I like sports. I get why people root, but it does not affect your personal life. It's a TV show. That's what it is. And so I'm not going to be happy for you or sad for you or anything because it does not matter. I'm happy for you that you like sports. No, but I don't think there are literal lives on the line if Utah wins or loses the football game tomorrow.
But again, not everything has to do with about life or death of the aspect of it. That's the extreme you're taking it to.
Think of the ultimate depression after that loss. I mean, what is that going to lead to?
Well, you're the Bearcats fan. I think the Bearcats are going to lose. So I'm going to call you Sunday morning and make sure that you picked yourself up.
I am totally concerned about my fellow Bearcat fans out there. Can you imagine? Imagine the depression if they lose. What could happen?
And they will survive. You're right. People will survive, win or lose, hopefully. But, yeah, the quality of people's lives is affected by this.
It is
the same way the quality of people's lives. Yes, it doesn't mean your life is doomed. It doesn't change your life forever. But the day-to-day, yes, absolutely it does.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does. 100% it does.
So silly.
Just like people enjoying the holiday, which is where we started.
Stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a much-needed off week for the Cougars as they rest up for the final stretch of the 25 season. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Woo, 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 woo,
woo. Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got him made Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarves. Oh my.
Hey, Jake and Ben. Just wanted to share this story. When in Maryland a couple years back at a beach, I went with some family and took some beers and sat down next to the lifeguard and started drinking. And I got yelled at for having alcohol and drinking a glass bottle at a beach. And then they pointed at a sign, and all the signs said no alcohol and no glass. And my only response was, well sorry, I'm from Utah. So then I had to walk off the beach. But anyways, I thought you might get a kick out of that. Later, guys.
Thanks for the call in, Scott. I'm glad you had your clothes on.
Because, that was, in response
to the nudist that went to a non-nude beach.
And apparently either ignored the signs, like Scott. Is that who our caller was, Scott? Same thing. Ignoring the signs. So, yeah, signs don't work for everybody.
First of all, I think you should be able to have a beverage on the beach, but the no glass on the beach policy, I'm actually very much pro that. For just as somebody with children, I think that's sure. That's actually a pretty good policy. But you know what? It does remind me, Ben. Have you ever snuck into a sporting event?
I have not.
And I'm not talking like high school here. I'm talking like actual professional sporting event.
No.
I tried once.
Okay.
So we were at Wrigleyville, and we were across the street at one of the bars while the game was going on. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go catch somebody coming out and get their ticket stub and then walk back in there.
Uh-huh.
So somebody's coming out, and I was like, hey, can I grab your stub so I can go back? They're like, I don't know if that's going to work, but here you go. I was like, okay, thanks. I walk right up, walk right up to the turnstile, hand the guy the stub, and the guy just points, like for people on camera, the guy just does this. He just points up. And I look up, and there is the biggest sign you've ever seen that says, no re-entry.
Yeah. Sorry, pal.
And thus, my attempt to sneak into the game was thwarted. Thwarted. But anyway, that kind of reminds me of that. The lifeguard just pointing at the sign. Guy like, oh, you guys have a policy on this, eh?
That's my whole life as a skateboarder, because there's no skateboarding signs everywhere. And you just kind of have to be like, oh, I didn't see the sign. Sorry, I ignored the sign. Because they are literally everywhere once you start looking for them. But yeah, if the cops come or anyone kicks you out, they're like, didn't you see the sign? That's your whole life as a young hoodlum like myself.
But just to point out to Scott, a can and a koozie will solve most of your problems there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ditch the bottle, though. That draws attention.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, let's get that glass off the beach. Ben, you and I both, we make jokes about my Bearcat fandom, but I do think Utah should beat Cincinnati this weekend. I'm hoping for a good game.
I won't be surprised if not only does Utah win, but it's not a particularly good game. I think Utah's just cooking at home. I think 8-15 games are hard. I think 8-15 games are hard for opposing teams. Cincinnati's a cold weather town, so they are used to playing in the cold. But I think it's hard. I think it's hard to travel. I think it's hard to travel on weird days like Halloween. You hope the Utah fans or Utah players, I guess, being home for Halloween, they're probably in the hotel already or will be tonight if they still stay up at the U, which I imagine they do for the walk. Get your mind right, focus, and pay attention. But man, those 8-15 games, that's got to stink for an opposing team. And come stay in the hotel and wait all day to go to the field.
And as far as the bye weeks go, I'm sure BYU's taking a chance to get healthy. And Utah State, how many, usually a bye week's a chance to relax. But since Broncos team lost to Broncos' old team and probably didn't make Bronco feel really good, do you think they're still running?
Yes.
You think they're still running wind sprints?
More than ever.
Coach, we're hoping we'd have a little day off during the bye week.
Nope.
Well, you shouldn't have lost to the Lobos then.
You think Nevada's taking a day off? They're not. So get ready.
On the line. Let's go.
No, I don't think Bronco takes a lot of days off.
You see here, I left New Mexico for Utah State. That means we don't lose to New Mexico because I left New Mexico for Utah State. So get running.
It was tough. So, no, I think Utah should win. 10.5 points. I think it's probably right. And I would, I don't know. I don't gamble at all, so I don't want to pretend I'm giving gambling advice. It's not my job. I don't want to do it, but I would be surprised if it's that close. I'm just not a huge believer in what Cincinnati's done. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit because of the opponents they played.
Do we know where they're setting up for College Game Day? Have we seen that? Is it the same place as Big Noon, or is it back in the parking lot west of the stadium?
President's Circle.
President's Circle, which is where they were, I think, the last time, right?
I think so, yeah.
So there you go, game day. If you have YouTube TV, well, sorry.
That'd be cool. It's always fun to have them here, whether it's Fox or whether it's ESPN, if you can watch them.
Which one do you prefer?
ESPN.
Any particular reason?
I think the talent's better. I think the quality's better.
The talent's better. Not a big Urban guy?
I like
Armpit.
Urban fine.
You love Armpit?
I just think they've been doing it a lot longer. They've kind of mastered this, and Big Noon is a copy. It's a replica of what ESPN's already doing, and generally the knockoff is not as good.
I don't know. I don't like Matt Leinart either, but to be honest, Kirk Herbstreit drives me freaking crazy. I'd watch anything other than that guy.
I'm
flipping on the infomercial.
Getting up early to tune in. I mean, I'm not pretending that I'm, it's not appointment television for me. But if I had to pick between the two, I'll take ESPN. Production quality's higher. A lot of things.
Lee Corso was entertaining, and now he's gone.
He had gotten washed. He was done by the end. That was pretty obvious. I like Saban a lot. Saban's the most interesting of all the people talking.
Well, that's probably true.
So I'll listen to Saban.
All right, stay tuned. Hans and Scotty G are coming up
Thanks,
next.
Christian.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.